But again, thank you for joining us today. We NRRA again. We'll be talking a little bit today about kind of the overview of NRRA. Not a lot, but mostly reviewing the construction 27-28 and also the call for research that's coming out this year. And we got one coming out in the spring too. But again, I really wanted to say thank you. The team chairs will be talking today. Again, thanks Michael Johnson for the Intelligent Construction Technologies, kind of a new chair. Kurt Dunn's doing the flexible thing for a little while now, and a lot of good support for him. Tom Burnham's done a great job with the concrete side. Ashley Buss, I think we all know, she is in Iowa. She'll be doing the preventive maintenance for Tyler Hunt in Michigan, who stepped off being a chair, and then Sanan Kavan from Wisconsin is doing the geotechnical side for Raul, who's doing a great job and still supporting us and NRRA, but Sanan's now the chair of geotechnical, and of course Lauren Dow, who's been doing a lot of communications, for NRRA and different things like that. So again, thank you very much, and also thank you for all the associate members out there and people interested in NRRA and really make this thing chug the way it should. Kind of talking about current membership, and again, this is in rough terms. And again, thank you for the states that are participating. I still need to talk to a couple states about getting their money in, and I'll talk about that and that delay and how that kind of affects the research budget by the team. NRRA, the executive team did develop kind of through this pooled fund, there's kind of people can put in their regular money. That means their normal fees. And they also can put in additional money. And so we're working right now to track that. Right now we don't have it covered. I'm still working on the quarterly reports to fit with MnDOT's financial systems. But, we basically came up the executive committee that there's going to be so much percent of research, so much percent of MnDOT's labor to help kind of supply the data to those researchers, some sensors and shipping costs that we incur, the travel costs and construction costs. So we did set up a money for construction. The construction, we did pull some money out of that for the buckling study. Tom, was that 125? I forgot. I put that in. I might be off on that a little bit, but we did put some money in for buckling to get that going. And we're really not covering that right now. So I don't know, Tom, do you have anything you want to mention related to the buckling project, or Mike Wallace, who's leading that?
No, just that we've started construction. It's a study about seeing if we can kind of determine the stresses they'll build up by creating a 100-foot test section we put inside of a greenhouse so we can kind of control the moisture and create conditions that seem typical. So it's kind of about understanding the stresses that build up and if there's anything we can do about it. So we got that started, and yeah, so we chose to go after some of the set aside construction funding from NRRA, and we're thankful that we were awarded that pot of money. Thank you.
And I guess the other side of too is we are using STIP money when we're talking about construction on the main line and low volume road coming up in 27 and 28. So we have a little bit there to do kind of some other things, and then so we have two pots of money we're pulling for construction. So again, the way this is, I pulled this from what's going to be in the quarterly reports, but it shows that budget with what money is in there, and that's the money in hand. It's like money in hand and money in the bush. You really, it's the pheasant additive where you can only count the ones you got. So we're counting the dollars we have, and once we start encumbering for construction projects, we start showing the labor costs. We haven't started charging that yet. Show the shipping and sensors. We'll show that as encumbered, that's spent basically, and then we'll show the remaining. So we'll keep doing that in the quarterly reports. But we also had additional activities, and this is where it got into VEDA. Right now, Georgia's put in, New York is still working on getting their money into the system. So again, that's why you see at the bottom that additional 150 is added on to 26 and to 27. Otherwise, if they were both in, we would have had 900,000 for ICT this fall, but we don't have that money in the bank yet, so we're not going to spend that money until we do get the money put in. Implementation, Minnesota and Idaho has put money into that. We're still working on what that means for NRRA members. What does that mean for each of the states? But again, it's their additional funding that they're putting in, so they have kind of a say on how they're going to use it, and if it's going to be just for their state or for maybe NRRA in general. So we're in discussions on that. Travel, Idaho put some more additional funds in. That'll be for going to TRB and other things that NRRA does and the spring meeting. And then other is basically right now Michigan put some money in to help with some sensors they're installing, test sections probably in 2027. So Tom Burnham and Mike Wallace and others have been working with that with the Michigan folks getting that set up. So that's kind of how the budget's going. Again, that's basically when you take the research contracts and you do some high level math. Not really. 600,000 we're planning on this year with 750 for the ICT, and then 27 when we get those money um, put in and we're sure that we have it in the NRRA budget, we'll do another 300,000 per team, and that additional 150 if New York gets their money and the ICT will have a little extra. So hopefully that's clear as mud. Let's see. I also wanted to mention another thing about the NRRA associate members. Again, thank you to all the associate members out there. Your 2,000 a year is goes to really good use. I think we've been doing some stuff. We had a couple people ask about where that money goes and kind of counting of that money. And right now, pretty much 75% of that money is going towards Lauren and for her salary here to help out with NRRA. And also about 25% of that's going to supporting the conferences. We use that money to help get speakers to the NRRA conference here in the spring. We also use it for conference costs and also some promotional. So that's why you have an NRRA pen in your hand, maybe right now. So that's the basic nutshell of that. Working on more detail if that's needed. So right now, the research schedule, this kind of shows the gray areas that have been done. The teams have been working on ideas and pulling those together to the chairs. The chairs have now talked about them, completed them, and we'll be presenting that right now. Today is kind of talking about the current view of the research. And again, we're not going to talk about all the research ideas that were there. These are the ones that we're able to fund with the money we have. Again, we have limited funding, so we can't fund everything, but we're funding quite a bit of things. So we'll go through that today. The ones that are on the list, they're being kind of held back again for maybe this spring to be funded at that time. And so some of we weren't quite ready to do either timing wise. So we're just presenting what's going to be going out for RFP type of contracting. I should just say contracting. I'll get into that in a second. But again, the executive team is going to be reviewing these August 4th. And I think since the chairs have done such a great job, I'm not sure what they're going to argue with here, but we want to talk about, we have other things to talk about. August 4th, we'll have a meeting for these topics, but also other topics, like I mentioned. And so basically, again, we're developing the ideas, the needs, if you want to call it. The proposals basically come August. There'll be an RFP advertisement being sent out. So at that time, different universities, consultants, whatnot, can look at those over and kind of look at if they're interested and they want to put in a proposal on those. So we're giving the universities about 4 weeks to get the proposals in. Come September 18th, they're due. We're working on the format. We got to get that cleaned up. But we'll get that out to you once the advertisement gets sent out August 17th. MnDOT will get those proposals. We'll talk with the teams, especially with the states that are part of those teams, their membership. Then we'll select the proposals for funding and get those announced come October. And then the contracting starts. Um, some of these might be sole source, but if there's a question if other people can do it, we're going to be leaning on the side of going with RFPs because that's a fair way to go about doing contracting. That's what MnDOT requires us to do, and I think most state DOTs do the same. But there are a few projects here and there that are really everyone says they're one person that could work on it. So I'll leave it at that right now. So related to the construction schedule, so we got the whole thing with the research side of things that are going on, but also there's the construction schedule. Basically, right now, MnDOT is working to take the ideas that we're going to present today. Um, Jake Jacob Calvert from our office here has been really working on the electronic plans. He knows what cells are leaving. He just needs to put in the details of some of the things that are happening, but he's about 80% done. And the specs and special provisions will also need to be done. So there might be some questions with different groups and expertise on that. And if any partnership and things that need to be developed. Um, again, we're getting our feedback. Our plans are due September 1st, so we can do a March letting and a June construction at Monroe. And that's for 27. 28 will be kind of a similar thing, but we won't be as cramped for time. Sensor wise, that's the other aspect of it. We'll be kind of looking at, we need to get these sensors ordered. We're hoping to order them by December. Some people are saying we can maybe delay that a little bit. We're still talking about that. But again, the idea is that you got the research side of it, you got the construction side of it, and then you got the sensor side of it, and all these things kind of have pulled together. A lot of these sensors are, they have to produce them. They don't just have them on the shelves, so they have to produce them. They have to ship them. We have to get them. We have to test them and work with them before we even get them ready to put into the ground later in June when the construction starts. So those are the different things that we're kind of balancing here with the operations of Minroad and the different staff and the chairs and all of you. So thank you for your help on that. So with that said, here's kind of what we'll be talking about today. I think these numbers are right. It's funny how it's hard to count numbers, but you're going to see a lot of high mod reflective cracking over asphalt and concrete. You're going to see some structural design of high mod. I think it's the high mod. The 2020s is the decade of high mod. It seems like here for NRRA, but it is a good mix, and Kurt will talk more about that. And then some innovative mixes that we're still holding out for 28. And some of the sections we're holding out for 28s because those sections aren't quite ready to be done yet. We haven't seen the cracking that developed, reflective cracking, for example, in some areas, and the recycled materials. We're talking about doing high mod on shoulders to get some additional tonnage. We're talking about concrete. Tom will talk about different types of ideas related to how many dull bars you need. Can you reduce those? Can you use smaller diameter dull bars? Different alternative cements. There's still different materials out there that we'd like to try. Tom's favorite one is the windmill blades. He hates them. He wants to grind them all up and put them in concrete. So more power to him. And then concrete recycling. How do you take a road and recycle that concrete back into a road, both in the concrete and the base? Geotechno's really been talking about drainage systems. So they're gonna have some sections with concrete over them, some sections with drainage systems with asphalt over them in 28. I maybe should have put the drainage systems for the concrete there in red for 2028. We're kind of working on those details, but we're kind of on the fence if it's gonna be 27 or 28. Well, we had a little more discussion. We had long discussion on that yesterday, and we'll have a little bit more on that, but also recycled bases and continue to work on that area. So Sanan will talk a little bit about those areas. So again, we're having two different construction events, 27, 28. They both have different lettings. We have that $4 million of STIP available to do that. We have a little bit of dollars too with for construction for NRRA if needed. And we also can use that construction money for infrastructure, for the different things for our sensors too. So it gets, you have the sensor money and that STIP money that kind of be used together on that. Pavement preservation right now, that's kind of to be determined. We're kind of still talking what test cells will be available, if it makes sense using min-road cells or not min-road cells. And in teleconstruction, we're going to be using it in 27 and 28 as needed. Again, supporting all the other teams and their different materials that are being placed. But again, we will not, that will be a part of our efforts. Yes, any questions or anything I missed from the chairs? I think the next slide gets into the flexible team and the Kurt Dunn show.
Okay,
I'll mute myself and Kurt just say next slide and I'll go from there so we don't have to keep changing.
sure. Okay. Thank you, Ben. So first of all, thank you for to all the members who submitted ideas for phase 3. All of them were great ideas, and so at this point, I guess we're looking at this phase anyway, or the first part of phase 3 here. We're looking at 3 ideas as this we have on the screen here. One is both. There's a couple of them here that are that all of them ranked high. So the first 2, the structural characterization of highly modified asphalt mixtures for pavement design implementation, and then performance-based specifications for high polymer modified asphalt mixtures for structural overlays. So we're gonna, forward those to the executive committee, those ideas. We also have another one, enhancing ideal CT for asphalt mixtures, cracking evaluation, to kind of see and address some of maybe the limitations of the ideal CT test. So at this point, this is basically what we're going to be forwarding to the executive committee for approval to move forward. So with that, I think the following slides, then we're going to, basically how we're going to do it as far as test sections and things like that. So if you want to go to the next slide, Ben. So the first slide here is basically dealing with reflective cracking with the high mod. We've got 2-inch, 3-inch, 5-inch, and 4-inch overlays that will be, there'll be like 4 sections in the current reflective cracking study that are going to be milled up, and we're going to put these overlays over those areas. They're about 450 feet apiece. And so that would be the first segment there on the main line. And let me go to the next slide. And Michael, please, if you got something to add as we go through here, if you would, go ahead. So second slide here, high mod reflect. Okay, yeah. Second slide is reflective cracking over asphalt and concrete. High mod reflective cracking, 2-inch mill existing and replaced with 2 inches of high mod in that area, and then a couple of 1-inch sections over open graded friction cores. So over one will be over the existing PCC, and another over existing HMA. Next slide. Okay, here's on a low volume road yet. Okay, yeah. So here's some mainline overlay on mainline concrete, some 1-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch, as you can see, and then over to the right there, high mod or on low volume road over the existing concrete there, 1-inch and a 3-inch. Next slide. And then we've got some structural overlays as well. So we've got 4-inch over existing and replace with 4 inches of high mod single lift, and then mill 4 inches and replace with 3 inches of high mod single lift, and then the third one there, mill 2 inches existing and replace 2 inches of the high mod single lift, and those sections. So next slide, and then these are as Ben mentioned, the innovative mixtures that could possibly go in 2028. With which may include next pave, recycling, and other mixes. Next slide. Here's some more flexible, innovative. Okay, that's this one here. Yeah, so flexible, innovative mixtures again. So these are on the main line as well, and we've got. I guess we don't really know what the innovative mixtures are yet, but Michael, have you got any more you'd like to add?
No real clarifications or refinements. You did a really nice job marching through all the test sections, Kurt, and the design ideas. Just kind of want to emphasize how we arrived at doing high mod next year. So the high mod 2 idea submittals were clearing away the highest ranking ideas from the Flex team and the PM team. And then just the overall urgency of the topic kind of led us to push for construction in 2027 ahead of 2028. And then both of the ideas we received were quality, but kind of had a separate focus. So it was really nice, and it kind of spurred us to get the idea of a PM-specific deliverable and overlay focus, and then a flexible team-specific focus on the structural characterization, some of the thickness properties. And then using the available interstate sections and low volume road sections, we're looking at doing that next summer instead of 2028. And the design effort and challenges that we need to figure out, I think MnDOT and other agencies are having to face those challenges right now anyway. So with the NRRA, we want to help kind of the initial design of the high mod mixes for agencies as well as the min road construction effort.
And Michael or Kurt, maybe Michael, I've always, I guess, pretty vocal on questioning things. And it's like, well, why are we doing so much high mod? Why are we doing this? And I kept saying to Michael, and you had a really good answer to that, Michael. And maybe you can explain why we're kind of going after this idea as the NRRA group related to A-grade quality and different aspects of that design for those that are not as familiar with high mod.
Yeah, no, I think it's good and fair that you question the designs and the research intentions, and especially appreciate the feedback from people that aren't as intimately involved. So if anybody has further questions, please ask. But overall, this is something Kurt and I discussed a lot, where are we doing too much high mod or putting all of our eggs in one basket? And with the Flex team and the PM team being able to both attack this pretty heavily, it ends up being only a third of the Flex team's phase 3 budget is funding high mod right now. And then a third of the PM team's phase 3 budget is what we have committed to high mod. And it's similar with the min road real estate and test sections, where it's really a third to half of the overall phase 3 research portfolio. So right now it seems like it's a lot of high mod, but really it's probably a third to half of kind of phase 3 Flex team initiatives is high mod. It's just the one we're hitting hard and moving fastest on. Yeah, and then the timing of that, a lot of agencies are aware of the results in Utah, where they're putting a highly modified asphalt binder at extremely low air voids and then relying on the binder to carry the traffic load as opposed to the aggregate gradation. So really kind of revolutionizing the approach to asphalt design and maximizing the polymer material properties. Urgency-wise, agencies are trying to do this. We're getting approached by MnDOT districts looking to do this in the near future, but we have questions because we're not Utah and we don't have mountains. Our aggregates come from different sources, and we need to make sure that we can replicate in the lab and with our materials what they're seeing in Utah before we're comfortable putting it out on our networks.
Thank you, Michael. Nice job.
Yep, thanks.
Any questions for the flexible group real quick? Then we'll move on to the next one. All right.
Ben,
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
can you hear me?
Hi.
This is Raghu from California.
Yep.
On this high mod, what typical binder grade are we talking about the high mod? And what in the Minnesota, what is the typical PG grade you use at this project site?
Raghu, very good questions. We are internally as a MnDOT agency still trying to answer exactly what binder we should be using to be able to replicate the results in Utah.
Mhm.
Our initial approach was kind of looking at some of the softer, like a 64 grade, not jumping straight to a 76 in Utah. I think as we're looking at it again, we're probably going to end up going with a 70E minus 34. That seems to be kind of the balance between what we can get here locally. We need the minus 34. We're not sure how critical it is having a base binder of a 70 or a base binder of a 64. But as we know, you increase your base stiffness, you
Mhm.
double it every time we're going up in binder grade. So can we
Right.
relax that? Probably. But we just need to have something that works. And then I think we can kind of refine some of the properties and see what we can dial back in the future. But it's very
Okay.
much an ongoing discussion and
Yeah.
love
Okay.
to have your input on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Thanks for the question, Raghu.
Thank you.
Let's move on to click on the slides and go ahead, Tom. You can take it from here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I want to repeat Kurt's thanks to all the NRRA members that submitted ideas. We got a plethora of them, both from states and associates, and we appreciate that. And double thanks to the state agencies that were under kind of a tight timeline how I handled this. Since we're kind of under the gun to get ideas for construction next year, I asked two rankings. One was that of what kind of test sections should we build? And then the second one was what kind of research should be associated with that, or is there other concrete related research that's non-mineral that you're interested in? So we just finished up the second round of rankings. So again, I thank everyone of the state agencies for the very rapid turnaround that we asked for. A couple general themes that kind of came out of this. You'll see studies related to doll bar design, kind of looking at that after, and it's been a while since we've kind of looked at our doll bar design, and there's people with ideas of maybe we can be a little more economical or efficient with them. There's a theme of replicating experiments from other facilities. So you'll see some test sections related to that. And that's a phenomenal thing. It's something the Flex team's been doing a long time with NCAT, but it's nice that we see the rigid side now kind of comparing, similar sections in different climates. We have a continuation of the alternative cementitious. They're still interested in these new materials coming out to address lower carbon materials. And then finally, a little bit more on the recycling side. So you'll see some sections related to recycling. So I'm going to go through this list here. So the first one was kind of lumped together under one research project, and that looks at these using high percentage of Portland limestone cement, so really pushing the limits. Then they had the idea of the hyper-optimized low clinker pavement test section that came out of Iowa. So we're going to attempt and see what that looks like. Then we had the idea of, we have an existing cell that has recycled concrete aggregate in the concrete. We're going to recycle that again and see what happens, and also put it both in the surface and the base layer. So how can you recycle something? And then again, you'll see the idea that we're going to be adding some more alternative cementitious materials. There's, the list always keeps growing, so we'd like to dabble a little bit more in that. Second one is the lab to slab, and that's the effort under UC Davis and also collaboration with the University of Pittsburgh of creating replicate sections in different climates. So they already have some sections they're studying, and they said, why not we kind of build them up here and see how they perform in the different climates. We have this ongoing automated 3G GPR analysis project they've been asked to do a few more enhancements to that. So we're going to contribute to that and keep that going for another year, I believe. I put out the idea and people were interested in that. Last fall, we were approved to spend $100,000 more to continue our monitoring of the 2022 test sections for alternative cementitious. And I put out the proposal of, can we add a little bit more? And people are receptive to the idea. So we can add to that budget and perhaps add in a little bit more forensics and petrographic analysis, dedicate some time to see how are these materials really doing internally after 5+ years. Then, as Ben mentioned, I've been kind of chasing this recycled windmill turbine blade idea. We almost attempted it in 2022, but the industry really wasn't ready. But now it's a mature industry. They're processing these blades. They're looking for applications of this material, and we're kind of curious, can it serve as being a really robust fiber in thin concrete overlays? So that we're going to kind of pursue some test sections looking at that. Then I talked about dowel bar sizes. Wisconsin has an ongoing research project with the university studying reduction of dowel bars in the wheel paths. So they wanted us to construct some replicate test sections. We're going to be doing 2 of those. And then there's going to be a whole plethora of test sections looking at smaller diameter dowel bars. So can we go smaller is kind of the question. Next slide. So getting a little bit into the details of the test sections. Here I talked about the Wisconsin study, pretty robust sections, but again, we're trying to replicate what they're studying at the university in kind of a smaller accelerated load testing situation. Next slide. Then again, the smaller diameter dowel bars, we're proposing a number of sections. This will be on the bottom of the slide here. So again, just 6-inch pavement and really going small. We're talking about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. Do they work? Are we oversizing our dowels for forever? Now that they're less corrosive, we have corrosive resistant things. Can we get by with a smaller dowel bar that's going to survive and not rust through? And again, we're proposing that both on the low volume and then also very short sections on the main line, so we can kind of compare, heavy duty loading versus the min road truck. Next slide. Then again, we're talking about alternative cementitious, and this is where we can do the lab to slab comparative replicate sections. So that again, the University of Davis has some sections out there. We're going to replicate them here, and then the University of Pittsburgh is interested, and also they've done a number of lab studies. They'd like to have the slabs looked at here. So we have some of those sections on the low volume. And then on the main line, again, we have, again, looking more new alternative cementitious materials. So there's a new list out there, and we can kind of choose from them. Still up in the air whether we'll be needing to replace any of the sections that we don't feel are going to be robust enough. So we're kind of exploring. There's kind of an unknown number of cells. Is it 2 or 3 or 1? We don't quite know, but we have to decide pretty quick. Next slide. Again, recycle wind turbine blades. Just going to kind of propose to the other sections that were out there when we were using more standard fibers. The 3-inch lasted maybe about a year. Just to keep it in service, we overlaid it, and then about 7 years later, we had 4 inches that lasted. So I would like to replicate the robustness and a direct comparison between a 4-inch structural fiber from a manufacturer versus what this windmill blade ground up will do. So hopefully it's a good experiment. Next. And then again, we have these additional sections talking about hyper-optimized low clinker design, high PLC, and then the recycle of the concrete. So again, and then more alternative cementitious materials. Next slide. And that kind of wraps it up. If there's any questions on the path we're pursuing, I'm open to discussion.
Looks like you're trying to get a talk.
Hi, Tom. Hey, this is Deepak Maski. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, if you go back, so one is a 30% limit of limestone cement, right? Another one is a low clinker cement. So what is difference there? Looks like same for me.
I think it's the next one, Ben. There we go. I'm not,
Yeah,
we have to
because you are
work with,
reducing clinker, right? You are replacing with limestone, right?
yep. And
So,
we are not quite, this was submitted by Iowa State, and I think they have some ideas. And we have to work with them to define what the hyper optimized low clinker design looks like, but it will be different than high PLC design.
I think a lot of
okay.
stuff you see here too is a lot of just trying to figure out what real estate we have. And we still got a little details to go, like Tom mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be probably further discussion with the rigid group as you go.
Is it something you would like to be involved in the TAP to help understand and decide?
I'm looking from sustainability approach. We are
Okay.
trying to reduce a clinker, and
Mm-hmm.
technically you are using high limestone content. Technically, we're trying to reduce clinker, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking little from
Well,
different
yeah, I
approach.
think
Yeah.
that the third one, the high PLC concrete, what that really means when it was proposed was 30% limestone content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not 30% 1L, 30% limestone within the
Yes.
mix
Yeah.
is
Interground.
what
Yeah.
that's that third bullet is
Mhm.
supposed to represent versus the taking a whole bunch of paste out, which is what the first bullet represents.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
30% limestone means you are technically reducing your clinker content, 30%. So I'm looking from
Correct, but
that
it's
respect. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Tom, this is Brett from Missouri. I think also currently that top bullet would be what is currently allowed. And if you're going to use a type 1L blended cement, the max is 15. So I think it's with the current technology, how low can we go with the clinker? I think is the game plan. That
Mhm.
30%, that's kind of in the future.
Or not.
Way out in the future.
I didn't say how far out in the future, but it's coming.
We already constructed a 20% one. Yeah. So this is really pushing it even beyond.
Well,
So yeah, it's very interesting.
it's nice to see you guys taking risk. That's where you learn the most.
Yes.
All right, I'm going
All right,
to.
thank you.
Just chime in that 30%. I don't know if you'll be able to get.
Right. But they made the 20% for us also, Dan, when we
Yep.
wanted that. So if it's something we want, it could be considered. But there's also 1Cs, and Nebraska's got some mixes out there that are going to be higher. The LC3s and the L2s. It's going to definitely, these are the right. You're trying to, in that top ones, you're trying to replicate what was already built in these other states, right? So those aren't necessarily new. Some of the low volume stuff is the lab to slab stuff, right? And the
Mhm.
pit. So we're just building what they built, correct?
Yes.
For the mixed designs.
Yeah.
And then the others, I think, yeah, that'll be the rigid group. Whoever wants to be part of it would be part of those discussions. So
And some of these mixes too, I think we have a little time because we're going to provide the concrete to the contractor. So
Yeah.
we're not going to have them bid that. So it doesn't, so in our special provisions, we say, we'll get you the concrete, you pave it.
yeah,
So-
but the people are still going to have to test it. So the more time we can give them, the better.
You'll figure it out, Maria.
I
All
know.
righty.
Thank you.
Moving on. Sanand, do you want to talk a little about the geotechnical areas?
Sure. Thank you very much, Ben. I hope you can hear me clearly.
You sound great.
Okay,
Sound
perfect.
good.
So I also would like to thank the NRRA members for submitting, reviewing, and ranking research and construction ideas. In total, we had 26 geotech-related ideas to review and rank. In this round, we selected 4 of them. And G1, G2, G3, and G5 are selected for contracting in 2027. At G4, water repellency extension, it was not on the ideas list, but it's a cost extension request for the ongoing water repellency project. There are some other ideas that also ranked high, but we have decided to postpone them until the additional $3,000 becomes available. So in the next 5 minutes, I will give brief information about these ideas. So the first one, G1, investigating the differences between edge drains and daylighted drains in recycled and virgin aggregate bases. So this research will compare edge drains and daylighted drainage systems, and it will also include the use of coarse and fine base layer aggregates, and that will be 4 test sections, so 2 drainage systems for each aggregate type, but the number of test sections is subject to change depending on the size of the area available for reconstruction. The main goal of the study is to evaluate how drainage design and base aggregate type affect drainage characteristics and overall pavement performance. The second one, G2, is data management analysis for measurement while drilling MWD technology. This is phase 2. So this research will expand the MWD database by incorporating data from Nebraska and other participating states, and from additional instrumented drill rigs. This study will improve soil classification frameworks, and it will strengthen the correlations between MWD parameters and geotechnical properties, and it will support the development of standardized drilling practices for more reliable subsurface characterization. And the next one, G3, quantifying the range and degree of geogrid stabilization in pavement foundation via continuous modulus profiling. This research will evaluate the range and degree of geosynthetic stabilization in unbound base layers using sensors called hybrid inductive coil sensors. They are capable of measuring stiffness and strain profiles in small depth increments. This study will deploy sensor arrays in stabilized and controlled test sections to quantify stiffness improvement and strain distribution under repeated traffic loading. And the next one, as I said, the next one is a cost extension request. So this is an ongoing project. The objective is to evaluate the use of organosilane to control water and increase subgrade and overall pavement system performance. So the researchers are asking for an additional 12 months. They would like to continue to collect and analyze FWD data, frost heave and thaw settlement, temperature data, moisture data from the cells that were constructed. So we have 2 test cells in that project. And then the last one, G5, is cross-validation and data synthesis of flooded pavement field tests and flooded pavement app. So this research, it's still an ongoing discussion, and this research will use data from a mineral flooded pavement test section that was recently constructed to validate and refine the PaveSafe application that was developed as part of the ongoing study. And the goal is to assess the use of that program is to assess flooded pavement performance. All right, next slide, please.
All right, sorry about misspelling ongoing. All right, here we go.
All right. So regarding the edge drains versus daylighted drains idea, so we are looking at doing the construction in either 2027 or 2028. So with the 2027 construction, one potential issue is that due to the tight schedule, it seems we will not have a research team locked in yet to help design those test sections. So we can map out the layout and instrumentation ourselves, but it may be better to team up with a research team from the start to design and construct test sections. Because of that, seems like shooting for 2028 may make a lot more sense. So if you do it in 2027, we can use these two test sections, 140 and 240, to construct four new test sections. So as I said, we will use coarse and fine base layer aggregates and two different drainage systems. But as I said, depending on the size of the area that's available for reconstruction, we may change the number of test sections. Next slide, please. All right, so if you do that, if you do the construction in 2028, we can have 4 test cells to construct new test sections, and those are 2201, 2202, 03, and 04. So these sections can be used to try different drainage systems and different base layer aggregates. All right, next slide, please. For the GeoGrid study, we can use test cells from 189 to 728 to create new test cells with different GeoGrids and instrumentation. Another thing that we can try is using different RCA and RAP mixtures with different RAP and RCA proportions. I didn't include it in the ideas list that I showed previously, but there was another idea submitted about increasing the RAP content in RCA RAP blend. So maybe that idea can be incorporated into the GeoGrid study test sections. And next slide, please. I think that's all I have.
Yep. Any questions for Sinan?
Hey, I have one.
Sure.
Hey, Sinan. Hey, if you go back to number 2, drilling. Yeah, this is G2. This is the data management and analysis for measurement while drilling. We are in pavement foundation. We are looking very shallow. So why do we want to go there deeper? My question is, I think we should focus on only the pavement section, not real geotechnical or something equipment or something bridge design. So
Yeah, maybe I can answer that. I mean, I think we did kind of step away from the traditional pavement research in this area just because the geotechnical team members were really interested in pursuing the whole thing with measurement while drilling efforts. And so I guess we've kind of continued but that has been a question that has been asked. But we did do the phase 1, and now they're getting proposed and did have a lot of support for phase 2. Sinan, I don't know if you want to add anything else, but we could talk about that more in the executive committee. Again, I was going to mention when we're done with all these is that this will go to the executive committee. You probably noticed there's no dollars shown here. We didn't show those right now because that's where the executive committee will look at the topics and look at the budgets that are set and see if they're appropriate. So hopefully, does that help you, Deepak?
thank you for explaining that. Yeah, only my question is, I mean, because we are NRRA road research, and here we are trying to go away from our main area. So that is my only comment.
Yeah, but I think that's a good one when we talk in the executive committee later.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks for. Anything else for Sinan?
Yes, Sinan, about the G1, you talked about when briefing for the edge drain and daylighting. So for edge drain, you need the draining base, right? And you talked about only aggregate materials. Is there any idea about using like asphalt treated permeable base or cement treated permeable base, those things? Or
yeah, the original idea was about using coarse grain and fine grained materials, but during the design phase, I think we can also consider different base layer types.
Yeah, because in California we have an issue with asphalt treated permeable base stripping issues. So maybe if we can incorporate, that'll be really big help for us. Thank you.
So as I said, so we are planning to have 4 different test sections, but depending on the availability of the area, yeah, we can, if possible, can have more test sections. So
I think too, Sanan, you're kind of looking at the drainage. The question is how long of a section do you need to get kind of a consistent flow through that area? How short can you make those sections? We're not really looking at maybe ride measurements and things like that where you need 200 feet, but how much space do you need before you affect the next cell? So kind of working on that, and maybe that opens up more opportunities if that gets shorter.
Yeah, we should focus on more drainage. Yeah, definitely, Ben. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to zip through. So there's only a couple slides left. Let me make sure I got it right. So Ashley, are you on board? I'm not sure if she's on board or not.
On board?
Yeah, well,
Online?
are you here?
I'm
Are you
not
present?
I'm not overboard, so
Okay, you're not overboard. All right, so you only have one slides here.
yeah. So Michael and Kurt did a great job covering the high mod. I think a lot of the folks in the PM team will be excited to see some of those 1-inch, and then also tracking the performance of the 2-inch high mod section. So those will go toward better understanding that material for preventative maintenance treatments. So we're excited about that. And then for P2, this was a combination of a couple different ideas. They all rolled into the same overarching need for making sure we have high durability microsurfacing treatments out there. The big parts to this research are making sure that they're going to hold up in snowplow and not delaminate over time. Delamination or sudden delamination can cause problems. Also, new emulsions. So there are rejuvenating emulsions, making sure that those continue to be durable for treatments, and then also successive microsurfacing treatment. So how many times can you re-microsurface something, as well as with when is micromilling needed for that. And P3, this was an extension of some of the ongoing rejuvenator research. The plan is to focus on specification writing, and it also seemed as part of that formulation of a product was quite important. So kind of ensuring that states have a good handle on what's needed in terms of a product evaluation there as well. So that's the summary for those research needs statements.
And again, any construction, we might look at other test cells that are not being redone. Those might be available to do some different things on it. So again, we're open to ideas, unless it's even other locations too. But kind of focusing on Minroad right here, right at this point. Again, the extension of rejuvenator research is the extension of the research, not the contract. So we'll be doing a new contract for that extension of that idea, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear. Any questions for Ashley? Oh, you got off easy.
I did. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And Mike, if you would take this and talk a little bit about this. Michael.
Yeah, certainly. So for the intelligent construction team, we received a number of ideas. So a number of Veda Center enhancements. So I guess just history wise, there's a desktop version and we're moving to a web-based version. And there's a number of enhancements that we had received and put in a list. So they haven't been ranked, so to speak, but anyways, this is just an overview of the general list that we had. I did group it by just general software updates, which could be across several different technologies and also some that are somewhat more specific to a technology. So I have a dielectric profiling system related enhancements, and then e-ticketing, intelligent compaction, paver mounted thermal profiling, just in case folks are not used to all the acronyms that we have. And then I guess related to this, none of these were tied to the 2027 Monroe construction. So that's part of the reason. I know a lot of folks on the prior teams there, they had rankings and construction and commitments to specific test cells and everything else. But since this is since we didn't really tie much into that, that's our timing and priorities are still need to be sorted. So the I2 idea, so Tom Burnham had talked about the this 3D ground penetrating radar initiative and helping out that. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but for MnDOT, we're calling for I3 automated machine guidance, specifically for milling. The actual, sorry, I should have copied and pasted a little better, but the actual idea that we received was labeled variable depth milling, but the whole intent of that is to gather some states that are doing variable depth milling. So part of that process is scanning an existing surface, developing a model to variably depth mill the asphalt to make it smoother before the paver comes in. So the whole idea is this is a synthesis research idea that's been submitted, and just gathering the states. Some effort will need to be put into identify which states have already had used this initiative. Here at MnDOT we have, and then just again developing some lessons learned and getting resources to other states and encouraging the use of this technology. So but yeah, so there wasn't a ton here for ideas, but we want to get some of these topics going in the first round of contracts, and then obviously looking forward to the next round of contracts for asphalt in 2028. So
yeah, I think you short sell yourself. There's a lot going on with I1 there. And
there is,
it's really
yeah.
needed. And I know I talked to Rebecca Embacher, and I'm not sure if she's on, but I think you and her both said that there's a lot of states looking for some of these advancements, getting that software updated, web-based and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, completely. So yeah, that I guess we do have the time. I will get in just a little bit more, but so the desktop version was initially started with intelligent compaction and paver mounted thermal profiling, and then the dielectric profiling got merged into the desktop version. So as I had mentioned, moving to the web-based version, the what we're calling the material delivery management system, or kind of an expanded form of e-ticketing, that skipped the desktop version, and the whole idea was that would move straight to a web-based version, and then merging in the other technologies. So we have several different technologies here. Fortunately, a number of the enhancements listed are beneficial to multiple technologies. So those got pulled into the Veda enhancements, and there's a number of pooled funds that are related to this and overlap with the NRRA. And again, as Ben was saying, lots of interest in several of these technologies and enhancing them. And so the more enhancements that occur to this software, the more user friendly the software will be, and then increase usage as well. So yeah, I mean, I can get into a ton of specific ideas, but like I
Yeah.
said, I intentionally hadn't sent it out for ranking yet, just because this wasn't tied to construction. So this was kind of just a summary of the list in general. So I didn't want to
Yeah.
give folks false hope of, you know, some of these initiatives will, for sure be done, and I feel confident on others, but
Yeah.
still
Well,
needs to be put to the ICT team. So
nice summary. Is there any questions for Mike?
Can I just add that we've had discussions about incorporating all of these technologies, not from a research level, but using them with everything that we build at Minroad, because they're extremely valuable for our forensics or characterization efforts, construction monitoring. So we've talked about including making sure we have all of these items in our construction letting and are able to work with Mike and the ICT team to get that information for the MnDOT projects, whether that's IC testing on the granular layers, or getting DPS on the asphalt surface, or paver mounted thermal profiler, regardless of the tonnage. But everything we do here at Minroad, making sure we're using the construction tools as much as we possibly can. Thanks.
yeah, thanks. Oh, go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you. There was a question that was asked of us yesterday too, with respect to e-tickets and whether we'd be able to use the technology for concrete as well out at Minroad. So we do have in Minnesota that we are piloting on concrete for e-tickets here for next year for 12 projects. So that is very well something that we could do out at Minroad to help ease with construction and stuff. We just need to know ahead of time if you guys plan on incorporating that, so that we can reach out to the associations and let them know that, hey, plan on using it, that technology out at the Minroad construction project. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and I guess I think I kind of touched on it, but the list looks short in a way, but there was other ideas that ICT was not the lead on, and certain topics were just not selected by flexible or geotech or rigid, and so just I let that settle out on the other teams. So as far as collaboration wise, it's we currently just have the one for this first round, and we'll see how the next round goes when we get more into bituminous. So
Sounds good. Thank you for the update. With that said, that brings us to the next slide. I guess God, the pictures got kind of blurry, but again, if you got questions or comments, send them to me or to any of the chairs. Really appreciate that. Again, we're in the process, not to get you sick here, but we're still working on some of these things, but just to mention that, we do have our schedules from sensors to construction, and then related to the whole research thing that we're doing here. We'll done the meeting there in red. The executive team is going to review these ideas. We'll talk about them, then we'll kind of bring those out to get proposals off them. So just letting you know what the schedule is. Dollar values will be assigned to them at that time once the executive committee approves those. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. I know that the AASHTO maintenance, I swear they have meetings every week of the summer, it seems to me, but it's hard to find a week to do it. I appreciate you taking the time today to join us. With that, everyone have a good day, and I'll share this PowerPoint out with the members this afternoon. Thank you.